God, I love that flag.
I knew that this was the day. You took my vote to say that I'm better off running miles away.
Thank you for your service, sir. Hey guys, how you doing today? I thought I'd take a walk down by the river. And well, we brought Clubby along because you guys haven't seen Clubby in a while. Hey, welcome back, Club. Do you miss everybody? Ready to go for a walk? Let's go. All right. So, apparently this weekend is going to be a big deal. Apparently, there are protests planned all across Canada under, what is it called? Draw the Line? I think it's the Draw the Line protests. And according to media, this is progressives rallying around elements, progressives rally together to protest elements of the Carney agenda. Wow, that's very, very flavorful, non-rhetoric. No, that's not the right word I'm looking for. How can I put this? Compare that to 2022 in the media's depiction of the convoy coming to Ottawa to protest our federal government. I do believe it was something along the lines of far-right extremists traveling across the country to protest federal mandates. It's a small fringe minority with unacceptable views. Yeah, I can see a huge difference in the narrative here on how they frame protests. So, far lefties are now protesting our left-wing government because, well, progressives always eat themselves, because if you're not of the hive mind think, then you are the enemy. So, and no two people think identically, so it's a little difficult to create a hive mind mentality and maintain it. But anyway, so they are protesting that Carney is not of the correct hive mind for them anymore. What a weird... This is getting really narrow here and difficult to walk. Let's walk back the other way. So it's got a lot more shore I can walk on. I prefer walking towards the sun, but hey, is what it is. But my question is, let's be realistic here. Why are they announcing this now and today and making all this fuss all of a sudden out of nowhere? Now, they keep saying this because Carney's, not progressive enough. He's not taking climate action seriously enough. He's talking about pipelines and yada, yada, yada. Now, us on the far right, we know it's all smoke and mirrors from Carney, because his whole life for the last, what, 20 years or so, is documented that he is on this green grift. But that's to our opinions. Okay. The left is trying to convince their own groups that this isn't true, Mark Carney isn't what they said he is, yada, yada, yada. Even though they're not actually providing any evidence for this. But either way, Carney, we all know, just keeps putting up these little blinds in the window saying, look, I'm actually working with Danielle Smith and we're trying to figure out how to make a pipeline work, but I'm just stalling her out and eventually I'm just going to say no. We all know this. But either way, the lefts are trying to push it so that, you know, he's not on board with their ideology. Well, I call BS. I say that's not the real reason they're doing this protest this weekend. You see, they announced this at such a strange time in history right now. A very, very strange time in history. A time in history where nobody's listening to them anymore. Everybody's turning their back on them now. Leftist ideology. Oh shoot, there isn't as much shore as I thought there was. Leftist ideology is collapsing because it never had a foundation to stand on to begin with. Think about it. They call themselves progressives, yet they want to regress Canada's prosperity in all of their ideology. And one of the great things, I spotted this hypocrisy, and I thought, you know what, I got to talk about this one, because this one is just complete. It just goes to show that they have no idea what they actually stand for. They just want to stand up and yell and scream and call everybody else evil and right wing. Well, you far lefties, because that's what you are, you're far lefties. The far left is deciding to protest the left, which is just the most hypocrisy that I've ever seen in my life. But anyway, you far lefties, you've decided that you want to combat colonialism, and that's part of your march. And at the same time, another talking point of the same march that you want to promote is promoting immigration status for all coming into Canada. So basically you want colonialism in Canada, but you want to ban colonialism in Canada in the same sentence, in the same protests. You guys have no idea what you want. And that's why we call you the far left. And the media keeps spinning you as you're some sort of progressives. You ain't got a clue what you want. You're just squawking because you don't get your own way. You're like children. You're just children. Grow up, realize reality. Okay, you want to make a difference in the world? Fine, make Canada prosperous, make Canada a world leader. The only way we're going to do that is by creating financial wealth in this country, making everybody prosperous. And once you do that, then we can invite more immigrants in. Once you do that, then we can invest into technology to make less carbon. But to cut us off at the knees so that we can't afford to actually invest is actually nonsense. To turn around and tell us to keep importing people when we can't afford to have more people in the country is just complete nonsense. You're squawking for squawk's sake. And the only reason you're doing it now is because you're all getting fired. And your whole narrative for the last several years is getting tossed out the window. And you're all being held accountable for the actions that you've been perpetrating in the Western society for years. No one is listening to you anymore. So you need to become relevant again. So how do you do that? You protest our federal government. The same government you voted for. I only have one thing to say to you. The far left. Welcome to the fringe, baby. Welcome to the fringe.
Hey you, I'm feeling it so. Hey you, now where do you go? Hey you, should let it go. I do think you care. Do you
Welcome to the fringe.
care?